Hello and welcome back to the game room. You know what I love? Video games. You know what I love talking about? Games. And it seems like a lot of people these days who cover games seem to hate them. Or at least the people who play them. Well, that's not me, and that's not the 1881 of you beautiful people checking out this video here today. Happy New Year, everyone! Welcome 2024. I hope you had a safe and healthy New Year. I had a great one being in bed before the ball dropped because I'm getting older and things like that really stop meaning as much once you get to this age. But you know what doesn't? Games. Yep, sure doesn't. And I've been thinking about, there are a lot of franchises where I love the franchise. I've played several games in the franchise, but I've skipped the first one. Or in some instances, several games. So I thought, let's take a look at some of those franchises. Let's see the games that I skipped the first ones of, and if there are games I should go back and check out. So if that sounds interesting, let's check it out. There's a lot of games out there, some of which you've never even heard of. That's where I come in. My name's Luke. I've been playing games since the age of 2, and I have no life.
This is my game room.
Alright, so getting started with this, there are some gray areas on these franchises because in some regards, you can say that yes, well, this was the first game in the blank series, it then got evolved with this version, and then that became the new version of it. And one of them that would have that kind of justification would be Metal Gear. So I've never played the first Metal Gear. Not the NES one, not the Japanese exclusive MSX one, I think it's called. I tried playing the sequel to this on the NES, Snake's Revenge, after I played Metal Gear Solid, and I didn't like it. And in a lot of ways, it's kind of what I was saying, that Metal Gear Solid is almost a brand new jumping off point for the franchise, much like, say, Ninja Gaiden NES versus the Xbox Ninja Gaidens. But still, for this video, we're just going back to the beginning of the franchise. So for Metal Gear, I've never checked it out. I've always been interested in it, and I've really wanted to go back and check out the MSX version, so I've debated getting the new Konami collection for Metal Gear that just came out. I have the version of Metal Gear Solid 2 on the PS2 that allows you to play those old versions, and I think I attempted to play the original MSX Metal Gear for maybe 10 minutes one night, but this was before I had the 5X Retro Tank, so it just looked awful, and I couldn't get into it. But it's a game that I've heard a lot of mixed feelings on it. Even when the game was out, I vaguely remember my older brother saying that's not a game you want to check out, because I think we owned it at some point and then sold it. But it wasn't my game, it was my brother's game, and I was too young to really know what was going on. Like, that's kind of what would happen. He's the one who said, like, oh yeah, you don't want to play Metal Gear, you don't want to play Mega Man, you don't want to play Castlevania, you don't want to play the original Turtles. For the most part, he was wrong on a lot of those, but some of those he was not. And so that's why I was very happy when I picked up Metal Gear Solid and was like, this game is incredible. And then checking out the NES game Snake's Revenge, I just was not impressed with. So I didn't go back and check out the first Metal Gear, but I still would like to check it out one of these years. Probably not this year, but someday. So that's the first one. So another one that I haven't checked out the first one, and I probably never will, mostly because there really is no point to it. So there's 3 of these games, and I played the sequel. I've not played the third one, and that is the original Splatoon. So I got heavily involved in Splatoon 2. It was the first real online multiplayer game for the Switch back in 2017, and it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I played it tons. But from what I heard, it really was not very different from the original Splatoon. If you can see, this game is still sealed. I never even opened it, because it was one of those things where I remember wanting to play it with Jen, but it was only one person per console, and since I only had one Wii U and was not about to go buy a second one, it just sat there. So getting to play Splatoon 2, I thoroughly enjoyed the series, and it's just one of those things where I never really thought, I mean, it's kind of the same thing with 2 versus 3. I would imagine everyone's playing the third game, no one's playing 2 now. So Splatoon 1 is a game that I probably will never open unless we get the 2,000 subs. Then maybe that'll be one of the games I open up for my unsealed episode, which we got some good ones that I'm thinking of. All right, another one where I skipped the first one is the legendary snowboarding series SSX. And unfortunately, I skipped the first one, second one, third one, tricky. Pretty much every single version of this game I skipped until they did the re-release, or the almost, not remake, but just the reintroduction, I guess, on the Xbox 360. And that's back when they were doing a lot of DRM BS, and you had to log into Electronic Arts' servers to even get into the game. And from what I heard, so I played the Xbox 360 SSX. I think that came out in like 2011, 2012, 2010, somewhere around there. And it just wasn't that much fun. It seemed to really have lost some of the zany, wacky heart that the game had on the PS2 and original Xbox eras, and did not impress me in the slightest. I tried playing it, didn't get down with it, really regretted picking it up, and almost more regretted not checking out the older games, because I still hear it to this day the older games are a lot of fun. In fact, I can't remember why I mentioned SSX in a video earlier last year, but someone even in the comments there was saying how good the older versions are. So maybe one of these days I'll check out the originals. Now, one that I have not played the original game of, in fact, I have not played the first 5 games in the series, but I have played a bunch of the other ones, and that is the original Final Fantasy. So I was not aware of Final Fantasy growing up. I was not aware of it on the SNES, and I almost didn't pick it up on the PlayStation because I did not want my buddy David to influence me again on another series. But I picked up FF7, loved it. Picked up FF Tactics, loved it. Picked up 8, loved it. 9, wasn't crazy about it. Skipped 10, played 12, didn't like it. Played 13, didn't play 14, didn't play 15, but I have it. Played 16, loved it. And so now I don't know where I'm at, but I haven't played the first 5. And the first one specifically, obviously I should check out. You know, it was kind of like I hadn't played this one or Dragon Quest for you guys. And so I played Dragon Quest for the first time a few years ago, and I'd really like to go back and play the original Final Fantasy. Now that I have the Pixel remasters, it is an option. In fact, I can go back and play 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Though for 4, I kind of want to do that on the original SNES, and I kind of want to do that with 5 as well. And from what I've heard, 2 is terrible, but 3 is very good. And so I just don't know. I really should start with the first one, but it is so far back in the beginnings of the series. I know that you create your party by just selecting from warrior, red mage, white mage, whatnot. And then you can attack an enemy, and if you kill the enemy and the other guy is still set to attack that guy, it'll attack a blank space, which I dislike. I do dislike that. But I'll get to it one of these days. So that's another one. I skipped the first 6, technically, and played the 7th one. But yeah, that was one where I missed the first one. Now, here's one I think a lot of people missed, the first 2. And that is the legendary Grand Theft Auto series. So, Grand Theft Auto 3 is where I started with the series. In fact, I think a lot of people started with Grand Theft Auto 3. But there was a 1 and a 2. Now, it was not a third person behind the back game where you go and get into the cars. It was a top-down view where you could see a bird's-eye view of yourself doing things. And it looks like a fun enough game, but nowhere near what Grand Theft Auto 3 became. Because in my opinion, Grand Theft Auto 3 took the inspiration from a game called Driver and then made it far better. So Driver pretty much, like if you look at the original Driver, it looks like it's Grand Theft Auto. You just can't get out of the car. But more or less the entire story beats of having you're going from mission to mission, driving around cities, have cops that will follow you. I mean, I'm sure that happens in the original GTA as well, but from a top-down, but it's just different. It's just different. And so Grand Theft Auto, that's one that I'd like to go back and check out one of these days. I tried playing Retro City Rampage and was not crazy about it. I know that's not exactly it, but it uses a similar perspective, at least to the way the gameplay looked. But anyways, that's one that I skipped the first one. Now, another one that I skipped the first few of them, in fact, I wasn't even aware of this series, would be the Elder Scrolls series. So this is Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind. I don't even know what the first 2 are called. I think one of them's Daggerfall, and maybe the other one's just called the Elder Scrolls. But I jumped into the series with Oblivion, and then Skyrim is where I really cut my teeth, even more so than Oblivion, and I loved it. But I've never gone back and checked out any of the older games. Although, from what I've heard, they all play exactly the same. So, I'm probably not missing out on much with that. So, Let me know if there's any, like, I've heard people say legendary things about some of these games, so that is something that would be interesting to check out. Now, here's one interesting one that I skipped the first one of. So when this game came out, I was vehemently opposed to it because I was such a GoldenEye fanboy. So I did not play it. Even to this day, I'm pretty sure I have played the campaign, but more I want to talk about the sentiment of when it was current, because I definitely did not play anything of length in this game until after I had played the second game and the third game. And that is the original Halo Combat Evolved. And I was so opposed to this game because everyone was saying, oh, it's the GoldenEye killer. Oh, we found a better game. It's got a better deathmatch. It's got this and that. I was not a fan of it. I jumped into 2 whole hog, though, because of the sword. The sword was amazing. But I was not one of those pistol fanboys, which was funny since I loved playing pistols in GoldenEye. But yeah, I don't remember much about this other than disliking the fact that everyone was saying there was a new sheriff in town and it was no longer GoldenEye. I have changed my tune on that, and like I said, I have played through the campaign now, but just compared to 2 is really where I sank a lot of time into it, even though I didn't own an Xbox, and I really, even to this day, I bought an Xbox, but I'm pretty sure it's broken. I found it at a thrift store several years ago. Now, here's one that people don't necessarily know was a sequel until it's one of those almost like Jeopardy factoids. Like, did you know that this was not the first game in the series? And that game is Red Dead Redemption. So this is actually a sequel to a game called Red Dead Revolver. Now, I don't know how much of it is a sequel other than it just takes place in the same quote-unquote world and universe. But when this game was coming out, I just remember being so hyped for it. It looked incredible. Everything about it seemed interesting. It was truly the first open world game that just seemed limitless. But we're not talking about Red Dead Redemption. We're talking about Red Dead Revolver. So honestly, I know nothing of the game. My buddy Rewind Mike covered it years ago, and that's about the extent of it. And from what I've seen, it does not look nearly as much fun. And one of those games where, yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with not playing Red Dead Revolver. Now, here's one that for years I've wanted to go back and check out because I love the sequel. The third game was meh, and then the spin-off was decent. I think it's better than a lot of people give it credit for, but I have not ever checked out the original Mass Effect. Part of the reason why I wanted to get the Legendary remakes was I wanted to go through and play the first game and just see what started the whole series, because I jumped in with 2. But I never did. I never played the original Mass Effect, and I've heard very conflicting things about it. The Mako ship searching through the planets was tedious, but still getting to meet characters like Ashley and Caden and all the other people that then come full circle in the third game. Decisions like the council and what to do with Rex. They all got made for me. So it was interesting going back and finding out that there were changes to 2 that you could have seen. Instead of seeing Ray, you could see Rex and all these other different things that could have happened. But yeah, one that I would like to go back and check out, most likely if I ever do figure out how to get that Legendary Edition. Now, here's a recent one that I skipped the original one on, and that was due to the overwhelming comments I have read, as well as the fact that the sequel is technically a prequel, so playing the second game before the first game doesn't really spoil anything, other than the fact that I know that by beating the second game, you're not actually beating the main enemy because it's a prequel. And that is Lufia and the Fortress of Doom. So I went through and played Rise of the Sinistrals, but this is the first game. And according to a lot of people, this is still worth playing. But if you have the opportunity to play only one of these and you have both of them, play 2. And I haven't played this, but I would agree if there is a debate on it, because 2 is a phenomenal game. It's one of those true sleeper SNES RPG hits that you never hear about that is really, really good. Great soundtrack, great ability. There aren't random battles, so it's got a lot going for it. I would imagine there's similar things to that in the first one, though I think they do not have the amount of Legend of Zelda-esque exploration that the second one introduced. But I'd like to check it out. Like I said in the Lufia 2 video, should I check out the first game? Do you guys recommend it? All right, here's one that I missed out on playing because I was a Medal of Honor fanboy. So back in the PS1, PS2 era, you had Medal of Honor, you had Battlefield, and then you had Call of Duty. So I didn't jump in until Call of Duty 4, and that's because of the overwhelming, bro, you gotta play this deathmatch game. And so I picked it up. I loved it. I really had a blast playing it. It sucked that, though, unlike Halo, you can only have one person for the online, so it really forced you to have your own copies, and it really started pulling away from couch co-op. Unfortunately, in my opinion. Now, I get why they do it, because it makes it a far more competitive match. How many times I was playing Halo, and you had 2 people on the same team, or 3 people on the same team, and they were terrible, and you just knew it was going to be bad. But it did take away some of that camaraderie, some of that in-personness of playing the same system. It really started isolating us on our different consoles, which has never really recovered. I mean, Nintendo does about as good a job as you can hope for. It's just not the same. But anyways, I'm off on a tangent. So I've never played the first Call of Duty. I don't even really know what 1, 2, and 3 are even about. I think they all take place in World War II because all of those war games were basically World War II simulators because of Medal of Honor. And that's why I really consider it Medal of Honor 1, then Underground. And then I kind of jump off the Call of Duty. And that's why I love Call of Duty World at War. But yeah, I've never played the originals, the first 3. So that's kind of crazy. Now, here's one that I never even really thought about because when the game came out, it just looked so incredible, and that is the Time Splitters series. So I've played the hell out of Time Splitters 2. I beat 3 a few years back for the channel, but I recently picked up the original Time Splitters. I believe it's only on the PS1, or maybe the PS1 and the Xbox, but it's not on the GameCube. And I really wanted to pick it up so that I could check out the real roots of the series, because Time Splitters is low-key one of the best shooters of that era. It really does not get enough credit, and I think Free Radical Design was just shut down officially, which is a bummer because I know there was rumors that they were making a new Time Splitters, and it's just a series that shouldn't have. It went way too soon, so I figured the only way I can get more Time Splitters in my life is going back to the original. So let's see what it's like. That is definitely one that I would like to see how it plays out. Now, here's one that will ruffle some feathers and probably explain why I have certain opinions like I do. So the first version of Doom I played was actually Doom 64. So I did not play Doom 1, I did not play Doom 2. And I really think Doom is overblown as far as how great it is, because, yeah, if you didn't have a PC, and other than the fact that people are obsessed with putting it on everything, I think it's definitely very, very important to a certain subset of gaming, and definitely for developers of gaming. But as far as the greater gaming community, if you didn't play it, I mean, there's a reason why that genre and style of game is not as popular anymore, is because it maybe wasn't as lasting as you thought it was. Like I say, I think GoldenEye was more important. But hey, I'm still on that hill. I'll die on that hill. You guys can dislike me for it. It's fine. It's fine. But yeah, I have not played the original Doom. It's one of those things for years now I've wanted to check it out. I just am so anti-PC gaming, and I know the best way to play it is going to be on the PC. And I just really don't have an interest of doing that. I picked it up. I have the Doom 3 version on Xbox 360 that allows you to play the original. I have it on the Switch. I know I wanted to do a Noob Gamer where I have Jen play it, but it's kind of hard for me to do a Noob Gamer before I actually experience it myself. I just get bored in those type of games after a while. I mean, I tried playing Dark Forces. I got bored. Like, at a certain point, it just, I don't know. It's just not as appealing. And when I played Doom 64, I wasn't that happy with it either. But hey, you know, it's all. I'm also not a heavy metal guy, so I know the soundtrack for some people is just next level. That's kind of how I am with synthwave, I guess. But that's part of it as well. All right, another one for a series that came out on the Wii and then it got continued on the Switch is Xenoblade Chronicles. So I played the second one and wasn't crazy about it, and part of the reason why I wanted to pick up the second one is because this game gets so much hype and everyone says how amazing it is. I just didn't feel like playing a Wii game. But I just wasn't crazy for the second one. I still would like to check out the first one. I still want to see what Shulk's all about. It doesn't seem nearly as weebo and like anime girlness that the sequels have become. So, you know, maybe it'll be good. I don't know. I don't really enjoy the combat of these games because they really feel like they're geared towards MMO combat, but with a party system, and that just does not appeal to me all that much. If I'm gonna be playing anything MMO-like, it just makes me nostalgic for WoW, and because I was so heavily invested in that ecosystem for years, it really is a hard habit to break. It's like, why am I putting effort in this? Just get WoW. This game, wow, there's Season of Discovery. Hardcore. Let's go. That's what happens to me. But one of these days we'll get to it. All right, and then the last one where I skipped the original, and I think probably 99% of you guys skipped the original as well, which is funny that the game is called Street Fighter 2, and it's almost one of those things where I never even thought about what the first game is. Like, Street Fighter, what is that? And it's an arcade game that almost no one played, no one really liked. I think you can only play as either Ken or Ryu. Yeah, I say Ryu, not Ryu. Ryu till I die you. But yes, you can only play as them. I think Sagat or Sagat. See, I see Sagat too. I hate these pronunciations, damn it. You play against, you beat him at the end of it, and I know M. Bison isn't in it or anything like that, and there's just not much to it, and yeah. That's one of the ones where I truly do not feel the need to go back and play that because it just doesn't look all that good. But there you go. There are 15 game series where I have skipped the first one, though for most of these games, I absolutely love them. So let me know if you guys have any game series where you just missed out on the first ones or the originals and are interested on the ones that came before it, because that's not something I typically do. Generally, I will go through and I will beat or play the first of a series. Unless it's, instances like this. But yes, that's what you get for this week, guys. As a reminder, I release a new video every Tuesday. Thank you all once again for being here. Happy New Year. Let's get to 2,000 subs this year. Let's see if we can push hard like we've done since 2023. Great having you guys. I've loved every minute of this journey here, and I'm looking forward to the great things we're going to do this year. So I hope you guys all had a great new year. Stay safe. Let's jump into this January of terrible monetization, which, by the way, I just got low tier monetization. I hit 3,000 watch hours. So if I do live streaming, I can get super chats and memberships and things like that, which I have no idea how that stuff works. So maybe we'll figure that out together. And then the Niners just got the #1 seed too. So hey, it's been a good couple of days here. So I hope it's going well for you. Hope you're having a good start to 2024. It's been so nice getting a hold of you. Take care.